That's the last time I seen you.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So you guys grew up together, is that correct? You guys literally lived in this fourplex together, side by side.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Poon side would have been the north side,
Yeah.
a couple north sides, and you
right.
guys were in the south side.
Correct,
You
yeah.
had both units in
Yeah,
the
we
south
had
side. And
215 and 217.
yeah.
They had
Yeah.
211 and 213.
That's right. And
Yeah.
WK was 209. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So it was kind of the whole block area there.
Yeah.
So
So what was it like growing up together? What was Chinatown like at the time? And what do you remember about playing with each other in the space?
I remember that we actually played together in the playground and nobody was looking at cell phones.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah. And we
Yeah.
rode our bikes together.
Exactly, yeah.
And we went chasing around the block.
Yeah.
And we made mud pies.
We weren't allowed to ride bikes on Center Street though. Right? 'Cause
not
it
on
was
the
busy.
road.
Not
Oh,
on the
not
road.
on the
Not on the
side-
road, on the
just on the
sidewalks.
sidewalk, yeah.
Yeah, on
on
the
the
sidewalks
sidewalk.
we did.
Yeah.
And then you also had your siblings too that we
Yeah.
also played with
Yeah.
Yeah.
too.
Big Carol.
Yeah. Yeah.
Little Carol.
You were, yeah, she was little
Little
Carol.
Big
And then there
Carol.
was the Kwok family. Oh, I should have called Gerald. Yeah.
Jerry.
Yeah. Because
Yeah,
he's
they
still
lived around the corner.
That's right, on 2nd Avenue.
And they had, in the back of their house, they had chickens.
That's right.
They had the chicken coops in the back of their house.
Teddy Ma, they had chickens in the back of their house too. Remember they were on the other side of Center Street?
I don't think we were allowed to cross the street.
There was
Remember?
Jackie lived over there.
No, I
Jack
don't
and
remember
Lena,
that.
I think. Yeah.
I think they were married your age.
Yeah, probably.
Where
yeah.
did you make
yeah.
your mud pies? In the backyard?
In the, I remember in the backyard making
Yeah.
mud pies, and sometimes when they had the lion dances in the street, and then they would have the firecrackers back
Yeah,
then,
yes.
crack, 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 and I'd go and pick up all the little firecrackers, and
Yeah.
I'd empty the dust that was left in the firecrackers,
Oh, really?
and I would mix them in with the mud.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Making mud
Yeah, and
pies
you
was
guys
a
had a
favorite
dog,
pastime
too.
of mine. Did you
Yeah.
spend time at Linda May's, and did you guys also spend time at the WK?
I remember when I got older, I went into the coffee shop a bunch of times. Yeah, the coffee shop was really cool.
I remember going into WK for a birthday party. I remember balloons, having to sit on balloons to make them pop. I remember that was in the front of WK, in the
Oh, wow.
in the main floor part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember there was some party. I remember having pop balloons in that area.
Might have been a birthday party or
It was a
something.
birthday party of some
Yeah.
type.
I don't know if you remember, but I don't know if they do that now. Probably not, because people break their teeth and they swallow dimes. People used to actually put money in the birthday cake.
Yeah,
Coins.
Yeah, we put money in
like
cakes.
5 cents, 10
And
cents.
then
Yeah.
if you get a slice, and
That was you.
you get the money.
Wow, that is nuts.
I
That's
know.
Funny.
But people would like crunch down on it and go, ah, that
Because
broke
they
my
wrap
teeth.
it. They wrap the coins in wax paper.
Wax paper, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, and they had them in the middle of the cake.
So they wouldn't contaminate the cake or
Were these
whatever.
like cakes from the Chinese bakery or any
No,
bakery?
just any
Well,
bakery.
people made it themselves, right?
Yeah.
Oh, people made them
for your
themselves.
Yes,
birthday.
that's right.
Yeah.
And then you'd
Yeah.
have a slice, and then you didn't know where the money was inside the slice of cake.
Yeah, that's right.
What about like Chinese New Year in Chinatown growing up? Like this Chinatown, across Center Street. What would transform for Chinese New Year?
I don't remember any.
I mean, they'd have the lion dance people come and they'd
Yeah.
hang the lettuce.
Yeah, that's right.
They'd hang the lettuce,
Yeah.
and that's where they get the money, right? They do the dance, and the lion would get
Yeah,
the
yeah.
money out of the lettuce.
Yeah.
Be a lot of firecrackers then.
Where were
Yeah,
they
lots.
hanging?
Out in front of their doors.
Yeah, they'd have a big.
outside of the
Out of
buildings.
the building.
Well, they'd
businesses
have a
there.
stick with a string on it, right? And then they would,
Hmm.
yeah. Sometimes the businesses just hang them, I think.
But it was always on the
Yeah.
inside of the buildings.
But I think the difference then and now would be the firecrackers. They don't have firecrackers now.
That's right, they don't.
Yeah.
It's been a long time
Yeah.
since they've had
They don't have the
firecrackers.
firecrackers now.
Huh.
Before it was always the firecrackers.
Always, yes.
But I don't remember that much decorating or things like that.
No.
And now coming back, like, you grew up there in the 50s and the 60s, and coming back to what Chinatown is now, like decades later, we're in 2020, like how do you feel coming back? How do you feel looking at, you know, the kind of transformations that Chinatown and its architecture and the buildings that you grew up in and have so much familiarity with, you know, how that change has happened.
I think for me, when I come down here, I still feel at home. Like it still feels there's something unspoken, can't really put into words. It's still my home. And you know, at the time when the house got torn down after the grandparents passed away and everybody moved on, and it got torn down, I was sad to see an empty lot. You know, it was sat empty for quite some time, and I felt sad.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I felt sad, and I think for a period, I think I avoided Chinatown for a chunk of time there, and then, you know, now it's built up, there's restaurants and different buildings, and now I go, okay, I remember that's where our house was, and now it's more, you know, the good memory of like, that's where the house was, this is where the family, the gift shop and the coffee shop was, and everything like that, and still seeing the tower, the architecture on top, still glad to see that. I would like to see that Chinatown still maintains the Asian culture so that it still keeps a Chinatown. So I think, you know, it's a toss up, you know, happy, sad, you know, that some of the changes, but I would like to see that it did stay as a Chinatown. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but it does still feel at home. Yeah, it feels at
And
home.
it's important now because there's so many other political things happening in Chinatown with the possibility of huge buildings and how that will change the face of Chinatown and what that will look like. And it's like sometimes you go, how will it maintain its flavor? You're concerned about the gentrification of Chinatown, and especially now also with the C train possibly coming onto the edge of Chinatown on street level will change the whole picture too. And you go, oh, is it going to maintain the flavor? I mean, still you can still feel some of the flavor still of the Chinatown, but you hope that would still be maintained.
One of the things that I appreciate is that right on 2nd Avenue there used to be our Chinese United Church, and when they were tearing down that building, they actually kept the face of it. So when we go over there now, we can still see it. So that's a nice thing to be able to still see that and go, that's the front of the church that we used to go to all the time. They did change the sidewalks there as well, so going into the building is different now from when it was before. So I'm glad that they kept that, because they go walk by and say, oh, that's the church that we always went to, even though the building behind it is new. And then right beside that Chinese United Church was the Chinese school that we went to all the time. Did you go to the Chinese school? Because we went down. We all went to Chinese
really
school.
Small
The Chinese
building.
public school.
Yeah. So that's where we learned to read and write and speak.
Well, you learned to read, right?
Well, I didn't retain it, but we did learn. We did learn.
And you also have to remember back then, there wasn't newspapers. There wasn't Chinese newspapers
that's
or
true.
comics and things like that. So where were you supposed to read it? Except for the Chinese books that we had to read and learn it. But there was no, like now, you go to Chinatown, how many newspapers that you have, right? There wasn't that for us to remember or to learn and use it.
To put into practice.
No, there was none of that. I mean, you could get some fancy comic books every once in a while. They imported some, but there wasn't a lot of that. And there wasn't Chinese TV, for sure, no Chinese radio, any of that.
Yeah.
I mean, we were living in a little island, to put it that way,
Little
right?
Chinatown.
That's what I wanted them to do. I wanted them to move Chinatown to Princess Island. I don't know how old I was, but they were talking about moving Chinatown again because they had moved it once before, you know, right? And I thought, Princess Island hadn't been developed at that time.
Which is technically Chinatown.
And I thought, wouldn't it be great to actually put it on the island, right? And create a little village, right? And they could have little dragon boat things going across, you know?
We were going to
And they would never, ever move it again. I told my
Is this
dad.
a vision as a teenager, or?
Yeah, I think I was like 12 or something like that. Yeah, and I said to my dad, if we move it there and it becomes a tourist attraction, like Heritage Park is now, right? They would never move us again. Yeah, nobody listens to a
Because
kid.
at the time when you were 12, there were talks about it being moved.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.